Everything you've heard about Loki and Thor is backwards. The trickster is often the conscience, and the thunder god hides an unexpected fragility. Their story stretches across ancient poems, comic pages, and blockbuster movies. But what ties them together isn't hero versus villain. It's a complex dance of envy, loyalty, performative identity, and painful dependency. Picture two brothers who've rehearsed roles for centuries, one playing lightning and public glory, the other playing shadows and improvisation until the lines blur. If you love myth twists, subscribe. But here's where it gets interesting. Loki's mischief often forces Thor into choices that reveal his heart, and Thor's brute kindness exposes Loki's loneliness. That tension creates scenes that look like battles on the surface, but read like conversations about identity underneath. Start with the myths. Loki appears as both blood brother and outsider. In Norse sources, he's not Odin's son, yet he moves through Asgard like a shadow everyone knows too well. Thor, by contrast, is the paragon of visible strength, roaring, red-haired, hammer-bearing, adored by crowds. But read the smaller moments and a different portrait forms. Thor's loyalty is sometimes blind, and Loki's brilliance often grows from fear of being left behind. And that's not even the craziest part. Loki's tricks are often attempts to make a place for himself, while Thor's victories sometimes feel like performances to prove worth. Think about a feast, drums and mead, torches like a golden tide, Loki slipping between shadows, words like knives, Thor laughing, voice like a hammer fall. In that room, loyalty looks like obligation, and mischief looks like a plea. You can almost hear the creak of old grudges underneath the music. But what happens when the music stops? That question drives the stories that follow, and answers are rarely simple. Fast forward to modern retellings. Comics and the Marvel films turn familial chemistry into blockbuster drama. Here, Loki is rewired into adopted son narrative, and Thor is recast as heir with public expectations. The change matters because adoption colors every slight and success, while celebrity amplifies Thor's mistakes. Suddenly, envy reads as abandonment, and showmanship reads as identity crisis. And then comes the moment that rewired everything: betrayal, sacrifice, or an awkward attempt at reconciliation. Choose your version. Each universe picks a pain center, and every choice reframes who is cruel and who is hurt. Look at their fights. Thunder cleaves the sky, armor dense, but between blows there are pauses where recognition flickers. Imagine Thor standing in rain, breath steaming, calling Loki's name through steam, not because of duty, but because he cannot imagine a world without that particular chaos. Loki, meanwhile, counts the cost: stolen crowns, burned bridges, compliments that sounded like coins. His mischief often hides a question: am I loved for myself or for the role I perform? But here's the sting. Sometimes even love can look like a trap, and that's where their relationship becomes tragic, not melodramatic. The most surprising thing is how often they save each other inadvertently. Loki's schemes sometimes prevent worse plans. Thor's blunt heroism breaks the spiral of Loki's isolation. Each act rewires the other's myth, like two painters accidentally working on the same canvas. You watch them trade strokes, and slowly the picture becomes less black and less white. And then there are the moments of quiet. A shared joke, a look that acknowledges history, or a memory of a small kindness no one else saw. Those scraps glue them together more effectively than thunder or dagger. Quick reminder: drop a like if this perspective surprises you. The climax of their arc isn't a single battle or betrayal. It's the realization that identity is contagious. Proximity teaches you what to fear, what to imitate, what to sacrifice. Thor learns cunning, Loki learns compassion, and both pay in strange currencies. Sometimes it's a crown lost, Sometimes it's a laugh stolen. Their victories are often each other's unintended gifts. But here is the part that flips expectations. Loyalty can be raw and ugly, and betrayal can be an act of mercy. You begin to see why some choices that look monstrous were born from something aching and human. Take a scene where Loki stands between two outcomes: ruin or redemption. His face is not a mask, then. It's a ledger of tiny debts. When he chooses poorly, it's because the ledger is heavy. When he chooses well, the gesture feels like a miracle because you know how low the stakes used to be. And that's not all. Thor's own growth comes when he accepts limits. The hammer can break worlds, but it cannot fix loneliness. Thor learns to ask questions, to sit with doubt, and to let silence speak sometimes. Those are the scenes that slow you down and make the myths feel human. So what does all this mean for you? If you've ever been the loud sibling or the quiet one, you've lived a version of this story. Maybe you used humor to survive, or you flexed bravado to hide fear. Seeing Thor and Loki as mirrors lets you forgive two things: mistakes and the strange ways people try to belong. But here's the last twist. Myths never finish. They accumulate new lines, and each retelling shifts the balance. Sometimes that change redeems, and sometimes it simply makes the pain clearer. Either way, you keep watching, because the human questions underneath are still urgent. There is hope here, not because endings tidy themselves, but because empathy grows when you study contradiction. You see someone act cruelly and learn that fear fueled them. You watch a hero falter and understand the cost of always performing. Those revelations loosen the grip of judgment, and suddenly mercy becomes imaginable. And the most cinematic moment might be the smallest one. Two figures on a long road, arguing, laughing, then falling into companionable silence. That silence says more than any war scene, because it contains a lifetime, noise, reconciliation, and the possibility of trying again. Why do we keep returning to Loki and Thor? Because they map the messy interior of family. They let us ask if loyalty is earned or inherited, if love can survive competition, and whether someone shaped by outside forces can still choose differently. Those are the same questions you face, in smaller measures, every day. Stick with the scenes that feel uncomfortable, because they often contain the quiet truths that the loud moments hide. Next time you hear thunder booming over a cinematic battlefield, listen for the smaller things: a whisper, a hesitation, the way eyes meet. Those are the signals that tell you who these characters are underneath the spectacle. Rewatching with that attention will reward you with small revelations, and sometimes with the ache of recognition. And here's a last gentle challenge. Try forgiving the versions of these characters that frustrated you, and then notice what that forgiveness changes inside you. That small experiment changes how you read stories and how you read people. Stories like Loki and Thor teach the radical skill of holding two truths. Someone can wound and also deserve care. They teach the discipline of staying curious instead of rushing to a verdict. Before we close, a note about endings. A satisfying conclusion doesn't mean every loose string is tidied. It means the characters have been understood more fully, and that's often rarer than a tidy victory. If you have a sibling or a friend who flips between light and shadow, consider approaching them with curiosity rather than accusation. Ask a question instead of launching a judgment. That small shift can transform a relationship, and it's the same skill that rewrites myths. There will still be moments where thunder drowns out the whisper, and you will be tempted to take sides. In those moments, remember that the less obvious truth might be the most human one. If a scene lodged in you, comment below with the moment that changed how you think about them. Tell whether the trickster or the thunderer taught you the most. I love reading your takes, and they spark new ways to look at the myths. One last image to hold. Years from now, stories will keep shifting. People will tell versions that comfort them and versions that unsettle. The richest retellings will be the ones that let both brothers be human. If this reframe resonated, like and comment. And if you want more explorations of complicated relationships in myth and media, subscribe. Thanks for staying with me through the thunder and the tricks. Remember, stories are mirrors, not manuals. Use them to recognize your patterns, to forgive softer places, and to hold people accountable without reducing them to a single failure. The more you practice that, the kinder your world becomes. See you in the next story. Like, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe to keep exploring these unexpected sides of characters. Your perspective rewrites myths as much as any retelling. So share. And let's keep unwrapping what stories teach about being human.